Hey guys, it's Miki ASMR here, and I'm going to be reading a Kenma Kozume X-Listener, and this one is titled Kisses. This is part 3 in the Kisses series, and currently I have a Hinata and a Yamaguchi one out, so if you guys are interested in either of those characters, make sure you go ahead and, listen to it. And yeah, I was requested by a few different people to do more Kenma ones, so yeah, let's get right into the video. Kenma wasn't sure how Kuro had convinced him to come to this party. This was exactly the type of event that made the young boy cringe. It had been a banner year for the volleyball club for Karasuno High School. Their coach Yukai had decided to throw a huge party at the end of the year to celebrate all the volleyball teams in their region, and Mr. Takada had invited teams from Tokyo that had been at the training camp with them as well. Everyone Kenma considered a friend was there, but there were so many people that he had no intention of meeting. His social anxiety ate him before the day even arrived. The players and the managers and various guests were dressed up quite nicely, but Kenma felt ridiculous in a suit. He would have much rather been in their uniforms than these. But Kuro insisted. It made him feel more self-conscious than normal, afraid people would comment about him, laugh at him for looking foolish, never mind the fact that everyone was dressing similarly. He just knew that he would be the one made fun of the most. The noise was overwhelming, and it wasn't dull. It wasn't a kind of dull, together white noise that he could drown out, like the noise from a packed stadium. It was boisterous laughter and chatter from people wanting to contribute to a conversation and pretending like he was having a good time when really he'd rather hide out under the refreshment table with his phone. He would do that. Any other time, he would. He should do that. Kuro reminded him that this was the perfect time. That it was perfectly fine if he wanted to excuse himself for a bit. Normally, his childhood friend would be sincere about such things, but this time, Kuro's statements and expressions was a clear challenge. He was daring Kenma to miss the real reason why Kuro had had convinced him to come. He never could have been in this situation if there wasn't something he wanted so desperately. Eventually, he heard the only sound that could have caused him to show up to the insane party, or even look up from the game on his phone. A laugh that affected him like no other. Just the sound of you near him made his cheeks flush with slight excitement before he quickly swallowed the emotion and turned his attention back to his phone. He could practically hear the smug smirk on Kuro's face. Each time someone stopped to greet you, and you laughed with them, his eyes would dart over to see who had stolen your attention. It didn't matter who it was. Nekoma Setter felt a stab of jealousy every time. Kuro, you were Kuro's younger cousin, and had often played with the two boys when you saw them when you were kids. He had been fond of you for years, and looked out for you with Kuro, and cared about you like a kid sister, protecting you from the same as what his best friend did. Only recently had it started to occur to him. He wasn't just fond of you the way Kuro was at all. He didn't just want to hang out with you or hug you, he didn't want to hang out with you or hug you or do the little things for you, only because he saw you as family. It was something much more confusing than that. Now, when you would lean over to his shoulder and peer at his screen, Kenma's heartbeat would speed up and tilt his head, lowering to hide the blush. On walks home from school, when you would bounce over beside him and ask to carry you on his back like in middle school, he would frown and tell you that you were too old for that now. You would scold him and tell him that it was nonsense. And then you'd hop on Kuro's back, the two cousins running around like idiots, loving every moment of the foolishness. Truthfully, Kenma would only decline because the thought of your arms and hands being supported on his thighs in your school uniform caused a bead of sweat on his brow, while his mouth simultaneously went dry. More truthfully still, he didn't really mind the foolishness when he was around you. Since you spent so much time with the pair, you were one of the few people who understood Kenma's jokes. The laugh of yours was somewhat addictive. He wanted that laugh for his own. The smile, the slight crease at the corner of your eyes, watching how easy it seemed for others to bring out that smile of yours was filling him with anxiety. Quietly, when the others were distracted, Kuro said to his friend, How long is it gonna take before you admit to yourself that you have a thing for first name? It's not a thing, the blonde grumbled unconvincingly. I told you before, she thinks of me as a brother, not a thing. He could have smacked you, or he could have smacked that provoking smirk right off of his best friend's face as Kuro added, I told you before, I don't believe it. Don't act like you know something when you don't. She hasn't told you anything, and you are not gonna ask her, Kenma scolded. Still giving him that shit-eating grin, Kuro said, No, I won't ask her, tell her. That's something you should do on your own. This was getting really old, really quickly. As if he could hear the dilemma circling his best friend's thoughts, Kuro added, It doesn't have to look the same in anyone else's confession, Kenma. She knows where you're comfortable. You don't need some magically romantic phrase. Kenma actually growled at the statement. Not caring that he was being ignored, Nekoma's team captain raised an eyebrow and said, I see those looks you're giving her when she talks to people. I noticed how you put your phone down when she came in. It's not the first time. Kenma shot him a dangerous scowl. I don't think I noticed. Don't think I didn't notice when you started avoiding her, getting yourself all worked up when she's nearby. I don't get worked up, Kenma argued. Anyone from the outside would have to agree. It didn't appear that the boy's demeanor had really changed, but Kuro knew him better than anyone else. You do, he shot back with that damn all-seeing grin. I don't. You do. I don't. It was firm and Kuro stopped arguing. For a second. You do. Growling under his breath, Kenma decided that he wouldn't take the taunting from his friend tonight, not coupled with the crowd and the noise and your laughing at the other people while looking the way you did in that outfit. Sighing, he shoved his hands in his pockets and walked outside. Time skip. Very short one, by the way. You needed a break. This party hall was extremely crowded, and although you were having a great time, you needed a minute to hide out from your cousin, Kuro Tetsuro. He had always been a little overprotective of you, but tonight it was being ridiculous. Any guy who was remotely friendly to you, he would stand and just give off a frightening glare, scaring them off to somewhere else, even the boys that you'd known for years. It wasn't like everyone was a stranger to you. You had recently joined the Nekoma volleyball team as one of their managers, which Yamamoto was extremely thrilled about, and so the year you had spent making friends with the players and the manager from all different schools. It had been one of the most fun years of your life, and you had really opened up since joining the club. It didn't matter to you. It didn't seem to matter to your cousin this particular evening whether the boys were actually hitting on you or just making polite small talk. For whatever reason, he wasn't allowing them any of your time. After scolding him publicly, you stormed outside to cool off. You weren't interested in any of those players. He should have known that. He was good at reading people, especially you. And you hadn't been making such an effort to hide your crush. There's only one boy that you wanted, and it had started long before high school. The boy hadn't even said hello to you that evening. Rounding the low outside party hall, you saw that exact same boy you were currently thinking about. Kenma, hey, you called out as you approached. He barely glanced up at you from his phone, but that's what he was like. He didn't greet you, though, which wasn't like him. I was looking for you inside, but I've seen you already escaped. Still no response. Still not normal for him. Not when he was with you, anyways. Still frowning. You suddenly felt anxious, but you tried your best to ignore it. Like you always did, you put one of your hands on his shoulder to lifted your toes slightly, resting your chin on the back of your hand. You swore that he actually flinched at your touch, causing your stomach to tighten. You told yourself that he's probably on edge because of the whole party thing. Pointing to your screen with your free hand, you asked, "What level are you on this time?" He shrugged, though you could clearly see that the answer was written on the corner of the screen. Suddenly, you were afraid that you had been coming on too strongly for the past few months. Now he must have been onto you and didn't return your feelings, or worse. He was just so uncomfortable that he didn't even want to stay friends. The exact reason why you feared saying something. You started softly, having to clear the worried sound from your voice. Have I done anything to upset you? Are you mad at me, Kenma? Kenma spun around quickly, phone lowered to his side. No, it was too overwhelming inside. I felt overheated in that stupid thing, he mumbled, gesturing to the suit that he was wearing. You tried desperately not to blush as you noticed how nice he looked. I'm just trying not to panic, he said, holding up his free hand to show you his tremor. You both suffered from anxiety attacks, and you knew exactly what he was going through. You felt guilty. You felt guilty as you almost were relieved by the fact that his mood wasn't being caused by you. It's alright, you smiled at him, squeezing his trembling hand. I'll wait until you're feeling better. Without really thinking about it, you leaned up to place a comforting kiss on his cheek, just below his eye. When he pulled back, he was looking at you dumbfounded, and you blushed furiously at the sight of the red lipstick mark you had left on his skin. I'm sorry, you began, even though you weren't sure why you were apologizing. He hadn't spoken, but the look on Kenma's face was certainly surprised. He didn't look unhappy, and he didn't move away in the slightest. Cocking your head to the side as you studied his expression, he leaned up once again and pressed another kiss to his cheek. This one lingered in the corner of his lips. When he looked at you with his intense, golden eyes, and in an attempt to move away, you couldn't help yourself. You kissed him, hard, as he kissed you back only a few moments until you eagerly drilled a few kisses towards his jaw. Only then did he pull back. It wasn't far, but he stopped the kiss and your heart sunk. He was staring at you, but not exactly. His eyes weren't even facing you, but you could see him looking at you out of their corners. Are you alright, Kenma? He couldn't seem to manage to look at you directly. Your lipstick was smeared everywhere on his face, and he suddenly felt guilty about getting so carried away with someone as shy as an Ekama setter. You cursed yourself for giving the wrong signals. Kenma, I'm sorry, I thought you wanted... He placed a hand. He held up his hand to silence you, and then dropped it back to his side. Still looking away, at nothing in particular, Kenma rubbed the back of his index finger with his bottom lip. He swallowed hard, mortified that he was actually wiping the kiss away, but he continued to run his finger under his lip, a light blush dusting his cheeks while his cat-like eyes blinked shut. He was quiet as he left the back of his finger rest gently where your lips had been, just a few moments before. Though his eyes were still closed and he said nothing, you let out a relieved breath and finally understood that you hadn't offended him. He was just taking a moment to process what actually happened. He was deciding whether or not he should be too overwhelmed or not, watching as a replay behind his lids, choosing what to do for his next move, choosing if he wanted to keep playing your game. Your stomach fluttered with anxious butterflies while giving him the time he needed. It didn't take long, but it felt like ages. Finally, the golden eyes glanced back up at you. His soft voice seemed even softer. He'll never let me hear the end of this. Kenma pouted. What? You questioned. Who won't? An annoyed huff caught in his throat as he raised an eyebrow at you. Kuro? It was pretty easy to tell by his expression that you had guessed correctly. What's he got to do with all this? You asked incredulously. Eyes darted away again, he mumbled. He was right. Now it was your turn to look annoyed. Kenma pressed the heel of his hand against his temple as he replied. He said I was going to stop ruining the party. He said I should stop ruining the party, being jealous and pouty, and confess that I like you. I told him he was ridiculous. Kenma held out his phone to you. You were confused for a moment, but then glanced back up to see the text conversation between the two boys. Sighing, Kenma moaned. He said that he wouldn't let me make it to the end of the party without confessing. He smiled down at the last exchange between the two. Kenma texts. Then I won't come back inside for the rest of the night, and you're not allowed to say where I've gone. Deal, Kuro said. Thinking back to Kuro making those things unbearable for you inside, you smirked at your mischievous cousin. He cheated, Kenma, you explained, and technically you still haven't confessed anything, so But I did confess, he said, with more force in his voice than you had ever heard. I mean, maybe it wasn't the way a guy would normally say it, but I did tell you how I feel. I thought you, of all people, would. He trailed off. You were smiling softly and let him know that you knew that. Of course, you understood that about him. His lip twitched. His lip twitched upward slightly, realizing that you were only teasing. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to say it out loud, though. He purred a little, softly, cupping your face and sliding his hand up tenderly into your hair, meeting your lips once more. Oh my god, okay y'all. Kenma is he's in my top 3, he's my number 3. Oh my god, Kenma is so cute. Oh my god, stop it. Okay. That was cute as fuck. I really hope you guys enjoyed that. I mean, I made mistakes, but it was better than me with the Yamaguchi one, so yay. Oh my god, wait, I see oh my god, there's a Tsukushima one. Oh my god, I have to read that. But it's a different series, but it looks really good. Anyways, I'm sorry for the mistakes, but I mean, they're in every video except for like my first 2, so sorry. Anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure you guys comment down some more characters you want me to read, because I'll definitely do them for you guys. Yeah, I'll do whatever character you guys like, from Haikyuu or My Hero Academia. So yeah, if you guys like my content, make sure you subscribe and have the notification bell so you can get notified when I post a video, and like the video because that's good for the YouTube algorithm. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to this disaster of a video. I hope you guys enjoyed and have a great day. Goodbye, see you in the next video.